Hello world. Today I'm going to show you how to use Polymer. Polymer is a project by Google that utilizes web components. You can find out information at polymer-project.org. It's going to take you to the 0.5 documentation because version 0.5 is what they had, and they're working on getting up to 1.0, which should come out in about a week. So, if you go to Guides and Resources, we're going to skip over everything for 0.5, and I'm just going to show you 0.9 because it's a bit different, and that's the standard. So, to get Polymer, first you make a directory for your web server. I like to separate everything between HTML and PHP because with Polymer, you really don't need to be based on PHP files anymore. I just use them for the server backend. So, your HTML directory. It's a Bower init this, don't we? Okay, here's a simple Bower init. Now we're going to go back and install Polymer. You can do that with Bower, say save, so it saves into your configuration file. Install Polymer. Oh. We want 0.9, don't we? Okay. Just make sure it didn't add anything to our file. So to get version 0.9, you do a hashtag v0.9 and then install Polymer, and then we can try it out. Save this as index. One of my favorite things about this is everything is centered around index.html. The server has to do no processing to give you the initial web page. Everything loaded from PHP or the database is loaded afterwards using Ajax. So, this is our index. Give it a script. Our components. Alright, so now Polymer's loaded, and let's just see what it does. And make sure our web server works. Web server doesn't work. Go figure. Why not? I'm going to try to include everything and not edit this video so you can see how I would troubleshoot things, just in case it helps you out also with your web development. It does want a closing script tag. Links don't need a closing tag, scripts do. And eventually one of these days I will purchase Sublime Text. There we go. Now Polymer is loaded, and our web page is loaded. So let's do something with Polymer. First off, let's repeat some items. So we're going to have a template, and is DOM repeat. And then the items that we want to repeat, we're going to leave that blank for a moment. We can give this an ID so we can get back to it, and we're just going to call it DR. And it's going to repeat an item. For DOM repeat, normally you would say, if you already had this bound, items equal some data. And then it would repeat each iteration of that as an item. In Polymer, if you're totally unfamiliar with things, bound properties, you put two curly braces around them, and it tells it to look inside of the Polymer object for that property. So, right now when we load this page, it does nothing, because there's no information for this to repeat. So let's give it some information. We're going to say, here's some info. We're going to make this an array. We're just going to count. And then we're going to say document query selector. Grab that by DR. And we're going to say it's some info. Now, watch this. It does nothing. What did I screw up on? Has it? But we might actually need to have Polymer here. There we go. For DOM repeat, we actually need the Polymer component and not just the web component's polyfill. So, pretty cool, right? And we could always update this like so. Say after 1500 milliseconds. Just push some here. It might work with that. Nope. Because we have to do this again. I guess DOM repeat only wants to go once. This is an ugly workaround. There's probably a better way to do it, I just haven't found it yet. If you're bound to an object or an array, you add something a few levels deep or even on the top level. Sometimes Polymer doesn't grab that you've altered that array. You can always flush out the array by copying it with JSON parse and JSON stringify. JavaScript, whenever you just had something like this, var object, object, if I said var new object equals object, it doesn't really copy object to new object, it links it. So anything that I would do with new object is going to affect object. So one way to get around this is to say that new object equals JSON.parse, JSON.stringify, object. So, and I'm going to demonstrate. No, I'm not going to demonstrate that. You can try it on your own. So that's where we're at right now. We have a simple repeater inside of HTML. We've included web components and Polymer to make the repeater work. And we've added something to that repeater with a timeout function. This is a good place to pause for the first go around. And I'll come back and we'll make a custom tag. See you next.